Hello viewers, my name is Frank Kabushenga, the CEO at TFK Luminary Publishers. We are happy that we are coming to you this time around in a different style. We have been promoting the culture of reading and writing since 2013. And most of you probably know us for writing autobiographies and many other stories. But this time around, we have another story to tell. And this is not any other story, but children's stories. We are also into the habit of championing reading and writing among children, developing the culture of reading. It is good for us adults to read and inform our environment and inform our spheres of influence with knowledge.
Yeah.
Fill ourselves with knowledge, with what we read and what we write. But for us to be able to establish a strong future, then we cannot afford to leave out the children. And so we were so blessed when Brenda Asiimwe makes that call and says, "Hey Frank, I have got a story idea." And it's not just a story, but stories. And so we have one story, Nyantagangambirwa, and then we have yet another, Ainembabazi, and the talking bird, and then the third, Grandma and the Locusts, making the trio. The trio of three readers by Brenda Asiimwe. So Brenda, you're very welcome.
Thank you so much, Frank. I'm happy
and I must
to be here.
say, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And if it wasn't for our environment, I would be bongering and hugging. But feel it, we appreciate all that we've gone through to have these books this far.
I'm incredibly excited and, super happy that
Great.
the work we put into this is finally, out here and we're ready to share it with the world.
All right.
Yeah.
So before we go too far into this story today, Brenda would want, the reader is wondering, or the viewer is wondering, who is Brenda? There are those of you who I'm sure know you from certain corners, but I would want to now to break it down and fill all those gaps about you.
Okay.
And let us get to know who you were before we go deeper into what you have for us today.
Great. I think myself a creative, someone who has always been into stories, but also drawn to stories.
Yeah.
The making of stories, the telling of stories, but also how stories make us feel. And I think it's no wonder that career-wise, I actually pursued journalism. And I think the viewer may be interested in knowing that you and I met at the New Vision, where I started my career as a writer. And I've been thinking about it, as we've been working, through this book project, how, of course, our lives have diverged, but also expanded into the great things that we're doing today. You're a publisher. I'm working in communications and advocacy. Yeah. So, exciting things, really. For work, I work with an incredible charity organization called Seed Global Health. I work in communications and advocacy. Yeah. But I think what I'm most excited to share today is my new title, Children's Book Author. Right. And when I transitioned out of the newsroom, I worked with multiple international non-profit organizations, and one of the organizations that I worked with was an organization that worked with children called Child Fund. And I would say that those couple of years that I worked with Child Fund and interacting with children closely in different parts of Uganda really sparked something in me. I can't say it was when I got the idea to write children's books, but it definitely evoked this kind of curiosity in me. And there was something seated there, something that experience working with children, evoked in me, but I just couldn't tell what it was at the time. But it all came to head in 2023. I was in the UK doing my master's in international development, and I got this incredible opportunity to work with a charity organization founded in the UK, but primarily working in Ghana and a little bit in Kenya. Okay. And what drew me to this charity was their model. So they work with communities in different parts of Ghana to establish libraries, community libraries, what they call sports in Ghana. And
why do they call it sports?
It's like a local thing. I think I don't know.
Are there some games attached to the activity of reading, or?
It's an all-encompassing space. Like a safe space where children come to not just to read, but to establish friendships.
I think that is similar to what we call community centers in some of our towns, where everyone play Scrabble, play different things, and Okay.
I know, yeah, so something of the sort. And like they're not just focusing on reading, they're also like introducing children to STEM, teaching children about climate change and the role they can play in the communities to sort of like how to exist with climate change and how it's impacting us.
Yeah.
So that's something that like fascinated me. But they had a book that was co-developed within the community, like kind of reflecting the local communities that these children come from, and they had children contribute to the developing of this book. A local illustrator, and I think that book is a hit in the libraries, in the spots, because kids can see themselves in those books.
Right.
And as I was thinking about that, I was like, oh, it would be interesting to have community libraries in Uganda. And I thought, I could do something about it, and I could start with my village where I come from in Chemengo, like create a village library there. And I'm happy to share that dream is actually, it has taken off, because that library started early this year.
Okay.
And I'm co-running it with my parents. But again, to the library wasn't that I didn't just want to start a library. I was also like, I am a writer. I can actually add to the body of work that these children are coming to borrow from the library, but also to create something that these children can see themselves in, to write about environments that they are familiar with. When talk about like doing chores, or like going to fetch water from a well, or like interacting with grandparents. I thought these are experiences that these children can relate to. So I thought, why not? But also like creating something which I wish I had when I was at that age, in the age range of 5 to 10.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you read around that time? Did you get an opportunity to pick a book or so and get to read? Absolutely,
because my parents are both teachers, and when I was younger, they were both primary school teachers. And by virtue of their work, books somehow ended up in our home. And there's a little shelf in my parents' bedroom, and I don't know that they probably remember this, but I got into that shelf and there were various books there, and I devoured them. One of the books that I remember reading that I first read was a collection of Shakespeare's plays adapted for children.
Okay.
And I mean, in these stories, in Shakespeare's plays, as well as the other books I came across, I read about, like castles, about, children going on adventure, about snow, things that I'd never really seen physically.
Yeah.
And though I didn't understand, most of the things that I read, well, like what was being painted in those books, the stories excited me. And of course, as I've grown older, I appreciate, like the concept of representation, of seeing something, reading something, and you feel like you're reflected in that thing. And I feel like that's part of what's missing in, like in today's literature, especially for children. They feel violet children, then obviously we're making a difference. So, yeah, and
that clearly formed the seed whose fruits we are now touching.
I mean, you could say that. And to date, I still read. I still read a lot. Like, I enjoy stories so much. Yeah. So I mean, it's not a surprise that I'm writing children's books, and like even with potential adult books on the way. Yeah.
So talking about the influence of our grandparents, especially when it comes to storytelling, you mentioned that the inspirations here also you pick them from the stories told to you back in the day.
Yeah.
What do you say about those grandparents who are living right now and making sure that their grandchildren are seeing the light of day?
Yeah. I mean, I cannot begin to describe how beautiful a bond can be between grandparents and children. And I was lucky to experience mine until, late 2018. My grandmother passed, but she played a pivotal role in my upbringing, and we spent quite a lot of time together. And in those ordinary and big moments, stories were being told. And we also know that from these stories, some stories were not just stories; there were lessons infused in these stories.
Cautions.
Cautionary tales. Humor. Some of these stories were exaggerated. And I guess it goes to say that, wisdom doesn't just come in, like in formal structures like books,
Yeah.
but like even like everyday storytelling experiences, like when people gather together in a living room after supper, and like stories are being told. It doesn't just promote bonding, but also like learning about past events, because those are some of the things that get told in these books, and how they inform today's events, but also like I think giving children an insight into why our grandparents are the way they are because of the events they experience. So I think that is really important. And for grandparents who still have access to, who are still alive to spend time with their grandchildren, I feel like that is something that is invaluable. And I hope that if anyone takes anything away from these books is, like how to encourage that relationship, why it doesn't exist, that it should be promoted.
Yeah.
And where, children unfortunately don't have grandparents, that again, this can be done by their caretakers because they have lived experiences that these kids today can learn from.
And now with the support of these books, you're actually creating a grandparent in quotes.
I mean, yes, absolutely. I mean, look at that. Yes, because these grandparents in these children can be your grandparent as well. Like, I mean, if you don't have a grandparent, these books, the grandparents in here.
Find the books.
Yeah.
That is quite interesting because this life that we live is quite huge.
Yeah.
And so even unfolding it into a palatable way to a 5-year-old child or 6-year-old child can be tricky, can be challenging.
Yeah.
But when it is crafted well into a book like this, then you make a whole big mountain quite easy to climb.
Absolutely. And I think credit to, our collaboration, like the fact that we don't just have, narrations in just all form text. We have beautiful illustrations in these books that I feel represent the story being told. And we know kids, as well as adults, actually are very visual.
Yeah.
So to have kids not just read the story, but also see how it plays out. But also the thing that I also like that we did with these books is, creating, prompts and discussions at the end of the books, so that it's not just a story to tuck away after reading, but it's something that people can always go back to go through these questions, whether it's a parent reading to a child or children reading together, or like teachers, going through these books with children that they've been given resources to help them discuss these stories. That, from reading these stories, children are not just having fun, that they're not, developing a love for reading, but they could also become storytellers themselves. So
quite commendable. Now, without revealing so much, I would want us to give us an insight into each of these stories. For example, I think this is my best. I don't know.
Why, Frank? We don't get to play favorites.
I love this book. I love the locust in glasses, and it looks really fantastic. But how do you pick up on each of these? How do they find your way into your pen? How does each evolve without saying so much? Because I'm sure the children will read, the parents will read. But just give us an insight. How did grandmother come about?
Grandma and the locusts. So grandma.
What was it happening? Where were you? Were you at the beach? Were you at? What was happening when this?
Oh my goodness. So Grandma and the Locusts, like I mentioned earlier, I had a really special bond with my grandmother. And she's one of the people that really inspire who I've become. And so I think about her from time to time. And like I mentioned, we spent quite a lot of time together. And I can remember like how she used to talk to me about stories of her youth, like the events and incidents that sort of like shaped who she became. And those stories were very fascinating to me. And we also know that traditionally, like in African culture, oral storytelling was sort of like something that is that is culture to us. But I feel like today, because of again the changing dynamics of the world, like these things don't exist anymore. Like oral storytelling, like kids are just being, pushed into tablets and television. And this is not to say that technology is not good, but through Grandma and the Locusts, I am aiming to, revive or even preserve that tradition of oral storytelling.
Yeah.
And this story depicts a beautiful bond between a grandmother and a child, and a grandchild, and her talking about, like the experiences again that shaped who she became, like experiences of the past, but with lessons, like how those experiences from the past translate into today. And I think and believe that, parents and children could learn from this. And as you mentioned earlier, this grandparent could be anyone's grandparent. So where relationships don't exist, I hope that this helps nurture them.
Right.
Yeah.
Ainembabazi and the talking bird. When did birds start talking?
Okay. I spent between 2020 and late 2022, I worked with an international charity organization, Child Fund. It works with children. And through those many years that I was there, I got to interact quite a ton with children.
Yep.
And I was always fascinated, by how curious they are, like how innocent they are, but also like the lenses through which they see the world. Like they're full of imagination. They dream so big. So this story details of, a young girl forming, a relationship with a bird, and they develop like a language to communicate to each other.
Yeah.
And I think, and again, it's like there's lessons from how this relationship between a girl and a bird, evolves. And I believe, again, like children, given the tools, in this case books, or like being spoken to and interacted with, I think helps nurture that sense of imagination, curiosity. So I'm hoping that what children get to pick from this book is, like to be curious, to ask questions, to dream, and to also know that lessons and, like beautiful moments can come from unsuspecting places.
Yeah. And you see, when we talk about innovation, it starts with imagination.
Absolutely.
You think about it.
Yeah.
You get drawn into it.
Exactly.
And then you get to formulate something.
Absolutely.
That many people get to celebrate.
Yeah.
And so imagination is quite important.
Yeah.
Nyantagangambirwa seems not to be very strange, but you bring it out in quite an interesting way.
Yeah.
What more do you have about this?
So with Nyantagangambirwa, this is, the book is in English, so everyone should know. But the title, Nyantagangambirwa, translates to someone who doesn't listen. That's in vernacular.
Yeah. And
in African culture, and I think I'll pick up on that, names are not just names.
Yeah.
Names are, as in they come from, events, from memory, and from character and personality. Like that's how kids get named, based off, like how a child presents. They're like, you act like that, that's who you should be called. That's your name, So this is how the name comes about, Nyantagangambirwa. And like I mentioned, it depicts someone who doesn't listen, but it also teaches that when you don't heed advice, sometimes you may land in trouble. Yeah, so it's like, again, when people give you advice and it seems to be coming from a good place, it doesn't mean that you should actually take everything, but pause and listen. Yeah, because
see and pick what.
Exactly, because it's like if you don't, then you could get some really terrible consequences, and then you'll be like, I should have listened when I was told to not do ABCD. So I think it comes from that, but also it also involves the element of intergenerational storytelling. So you have a grandmother telling kids a story, and again it's again a depiction of our culture, like how names come about, how they form our identity, and all those kinds of things. So I feel like if anyone should take anything away from Nyantagangambirwa, it's that, like actually for children to ask their parents, like, how did you decide that I should be called, say for example, Asiimwe? Like how did that come about? And I think by us understanding sort of like the origins of our names, it sort of like maybe shapes us as well, and also helps us into who blossom into who we become as adults.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as a package, the trio clearly represent a conversation being introduced into families.
Yes.
And into schools.
Yeah.
To create a breaker of the TikToks of this world and the TVs, and at times you want to have a chat with your child, but there's not much you can say. Apart from, why are you dirty? What did you study today?
Yes.
How was school?
Yeah, like very mechanical conversations, right? Like, you know?
I think the parents and the viewers, the teachers, the guardians at home, you have a conversation to pick with your children with the support of these books. And so credits to you, Brenda.
This is something that I want to add.
Yeah.
I used to think that the age group we're targeting, like 5 to 10, who these books, the kids were targeting with these books.
Yeah.
It's that these are children who are learning how to read,
yes,
but also learning what stories do for them. Like, do they make them feel excited? Do stories comfort them? Do stories, like create meaning in their lives? I think that stories ultimately expand, our worlds, not just for adults, but for children as well.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that children who read these books, that they are curious, that they're imaginative, that they are big dreamers, and like I mentioned earlier, that they are storytellers themselves. Because I think ultimately a child who reads, a child who loves stories, is a child who dreams, is a child who asks questions, is a child who is intelligent.
Yeah.
So I hope that, that's what, kids get from this, apart from, like just having fun and just, experiencing the joy of reading and stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so as our slogan goes at TFK Luminary Publishers, we believe that just as food is to the stomach, so is reading to the brain.
Yeah.
And so Brenda serves us with a sumptuous meal of a trio: Nyantagangambirwa, Grandma and the Locusts, Ainembabazi, and the Talking Bird. We have all reasons to say thank you.
Thank you so
and
much,
God bless you.
Of course.
The teachers, look out for these books. They'll be available for you online, on our websites, on bookstores. We are ready to serve you right with this food for the brain. God bless you.